In this lecture, we're going to learn the basics of cell references. If they're not immediately clear to you, don't worry, because we're going to cover them in much more depth in a later lecture. Let's say we wanted to copy and paste the value in cell A3. We could simply copy the contents using Ctrl-Z and then move to the cell that we want to paste and use the shortcut Ctrl-V to paste the data. However, there is a core problem with copying and pasting. This data is static, meaning if we change the original cell, A3, A8 will still say bakery item sales. This is where cell references come in. Cell references are dynamic, so let's use those instead. I'm going to delete this real quick. To create a cell reference, let's first type equals, which is Excel's way of recognizing that you are asking it to do a calculation or an action on the spreadsheet. After typing equals, we can create a cell reference by clicking on the cell that we want to connect to our current one, say A3. We can see that Excel has automatically populated the cell address A3 in this cell for me. To complete the cell reference, all I have to do is hit enter. It's not showing everything right now because it's a little too much text, so I'm going to undo wrap text, but we can see that Excel has properly populated the contents of cell A3 into A8. Our cell reference will now change if the reference cell changes. For example, if I were to change it from bakery item sales to just bakery items, hit enter, we can see that it automatically changes to reflect that change. This is the magic of cell references because it allows you to create dynamic spreadsheets by allowing you to assign a cell's value to another cell. Okay, there are a few more ways to do cell references. Along with clicking, we can also use our arrow keys. So let's type equals, and when you're here, you can just use your arrow keys to start scrolling. So I'm going to scroll to the left, choose bakery items, and then hit enter. One last way to reference a cell is to type in the cell address itself. Since we know we're going to try to reference A3, we can just type equals A and then 3 and hit enter, and the cell reference works exactly the same. For clarity in our course, I want to define the referencing cell as the one with the cell reference, and the reference cell as the one that's being pointed to. In this example, the referencing cell is E3, and the reference cell is A3. Okay, we can also do cell references across different tabs in an Excel workbook. So let's go to the tab from our previous lecture, type equals, and then go back to the tab that we're currently working on, reference the cell that we want, and hit enter, and we can see that our cell reference has worked properly across tabs. I'm going to delete this for now, but I wanted you to know that it exists when we get into building more complex spreadsheets. You can even do cell references across completely different Excel files. However, I would encourage you to avoid this because the data transfer is finicky and kind of hard to update. I recommend keeping all relevant data inside of one singular workbook.